Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to be all about Primal Mercury's trial. I'm going to be sharing some solo clears of all the difficulties of this trial that just released today at the time of recording. So we're starting off here with standard, then we'll take a look at expert, and finally we'll conclude with the master difficulty of this trial. This was a fun one. We've been waiting for new endgame content for a month since we last got our Primal Zodiark update and our new story update. The second half of Chapter 25 also dropped today. We also got Advent of the Origin, a major story-related raid event added to the event compendium. So good things are happening right now in Dragalia Lost, even as we wind down toward the end of service. Had a lot of fun checking out this trial against Primal Mercury. I think this might be one of my favorites of the Primal Dragon trials so far, at first blush, but it isn't something I've played a lot of. I really just got these first clears, and that was pretty much it. So far, I liked Primal Midgardsormr's trial a ton when that first came out, so that probably ranks at the top for me. Then I would put Mercury and Zodiark maybe around the same level. Zodiark felt very chaotic. It felt a lot like a bullet hell type game, where you're dodging lots of different things on screen. And Mercury kind of felt like that a little bit toward the end, so they feel a little similar in that regard. And I think my least favorite right now is Brunhilde. And that's okay. I mean, I still like Brunhilde, but I think part of it is there are just segments where you have to navigate around the map and kind of dealing with a lot of obstacles on the screen. There are some points like that in the other fights too, but it just stands out to me in Brunhilde. I feel like I often make mistakes like walking onto lava and things like that just requires a little bit more precision. So this was a pretty fun one. You could see that it was pretty quick to clear the standard difficulty. So now we're here on the expert difficulty, and of course the big change is that partway through the fight, Mercury will transform into her Primal Dragon form. I think her Primal Dragon form looks good, although with all of the special effects happening on screen, you actually don't really get to see her that often, especially with like the Storm Lash inflicted upon her and me constantly transforming into a dragon using Bondforged Yuden. It does seem to me that having some of the newer units is going to be very helpful for this, although some of the units that are older that got mana spirals can also be serviceable, and they have pretty good damage output too. So as far as newer units, I'm thinking of Bondforged Yuden. Also Nina has a healer option, probably going to be one of your better healers that you can take to this if you manage to get her. Besides them, some of the older units that can be quite good for this, I would think that Gala Leaf, if you have him after the mana spiral, is really strong, so probably going to be effective here as well. And even Victor got a mana spiral not too long ago that made him pretty good. Kirsty likewise got a mana spiral a while back, so I think they could be used fairly effectively too. Overall, this was not too hard as far as the clear time, but some of that might be because of the power of my team, and it might also be because of the Primal Dragon weapons that we get to utilize. This is the first time that we've had one of these fights where upon release, the Primal Dragon weapons to counter that boss are already available. So when Midgardsormr came out, Primal Brunhilde was not released, so we couldn't use those weapons yet, even though we can use them now to make that fight easier for ourselves. This time around, we have the weapons from Midgardsormr's fight to use here, so I assume it's balanced accordingly, but it did feel pretty quick to complete these battles, especially on the lower difficulties. And some of that, again, might be just Bondforged Yuden, but I will say that I'm not going particularly optimized or super special with my builds here or anything like that. I don't necessarily know even the rotations of Bondforged Yuden due to his unique combos, so I'm kind of just, using my 4-strike when I jump as much as I can, but other than that, the shapeshift production of Not, at least on the earlier two difficulties, was enough to basically make it so I could pretty much constantly shapeshift. You could see there were some mechanics there that we kind of tanked our way through without fully knowing what they did, and we'll revisit that as we now start the master difficulty, where I'll talk more about everything happening in the fight. So we start off against Primal Mercury in her human form. We go up, we decided to shapeshift. This time around I brought a helper that gave us some Dragon Gauge, and it seems like Primal Mercury summons all of these bubbles. Having Midgard Stormer 0 to be able to take those out is pretty nice. And then she's doing purple circles that follow your controlled character, but you can avoid them. You just have to walk away toward the end of when they're going to attack and hit you. Those cause frostbite from what I've seen. She summons some more circles. She's applied Curse of Nihility to us as well. And now we're just attacking her. She does her red dash again. And I think there's a purple semicircle that she'll do sometimes, but we already have her going into her second phase here. So Primal Infinity happens. Mercury is now shapeshifted into dragon form. We're just attacking, building up some Dragon Gauge, some SP, and I think we're going to want to fire off some of our skills so we can get our Primal Dragalia bonus. She summons some of her water-attuned adventurers here to attack us. One of them's attacking in a purple cross pattern, and you'll see there's an orb at the top of the screen, along with this cryogenic blizzard attack. So that orb goes off, and it gives our whole team 100% water res down, which is very debilitating. I don't think you can actually attack the orb. It didn't come up here in this first part of the fight, but I ended up running into the orb to destroy it later on. But at least by running into it with one character, I think that I prevented it from hurting the rest of my team. Now this next attack, these tidal spirals, this is one that the pattern is going to take some practice for me to get hang of, but there is one safe spot, and you can figure out the safe spot in relation to where the tidal spirals initially spawn. You saw the homing hailstorm there. The homing hailstorm is kind of like Admiral Pincer's attack, the crab attack from Kaleidoscape if you play that mode. There we were able to basically tank our way through all of those whirlpools, and they don't seem to do lethal, at least with my team composition here, but I can't speak to co-op just yet. They may be more fatal in a co-op setting, and it could be dangerous there, but if you have one teammate who knows the way, maybe you could follow them and make it in time. But it is a nod back to, I would say, a master difficulty of Mercury's Trial. She has a move that's very similar to that prior to some of the nerfs was not telegraphed, or at least not telegraphed with like purple and red indicators, and made it pretty hard to memorize the pattern for beginners. It took me a long time to get that right in that fight, and it would just one-shot you. So once we get her to a certain HP, she does that global AoE that also causes frostbite. I didn't talk much about the cryogenic blast that she does, or cryogenic blizzard, I can't remember the exact name, it just flashed on screen. But that attack, basically, it's kind of like Ciela's attack after she goes into Mist Veil in phase 1 of her fight, where it's going to hit a large portion of the screen, but if you go behind Mercury, you should be safe. Now a lot of enemies are spawning and there are bubbles, so this seems like a very dangerous segment where maybe you're best off just kind of playing it safe here, especially if you get hit with frostbite. You won't be able to shapeshift to just escape out of this. And there's that cryogenic blizzard that I was referencing earlier, so you can see we're safe just behind Mercury. There's still a lot of enemies on screen, but so far I haven't seen any that do like one-shot attacks, similar to Halloween Melsa or Child Ronzel in some of the other Primal Dragon trials. Tidal Spirals happens again, and I kind of just take a guess that maybe this is the safe spot, but clearly it's not. Luckily, we do only get hit once there, and we're perfectly fine to tank through it in that case. But that's something I'm going to have to learn with time. I think it's like you go straight across from where they spawn, and then you have to take a 45-degree angle relative to that, and then that's a safe spot. So this homing hailstorm happens again, tidal spirals happens again, but we're just going to use our super dragon engine that we have going on in order to tank through it. And can you believe we got this skill off in time? That was pretty lucky. So the Devious Whirl Sphere happens, and I try to attack it, but clearly that doesn't work, so then I just bump into it, and that seemed to successfully remove it. I don't even see the debuff on Yuden, so maybe you just have to run into that. A lot of crazy things are happening again here at the end of the fight, but thankfully we had Mercury at low enough HP that we were able to get the clear just then. Didn't even end up having to pilot Eleonora, who of course I had to bring along for the first clear nevertheless. And also got to use the combo of Nott and Yuden, which was very fun. Akasha there as probably my best healer just to round things out. But this was a fun one. I'm glad Dragalia Lost still has some content coming in. Looking forward to future endgame content releases and expect some videos on them. That's going to do it for today though, everybody. So thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.